Well, it's Saturday the 21st of December, the solstice approaches, and there is a pause in the year's progress. However brief, change will again begin to accelerate, and by the time we get to 2020, it will be noticeable. This is episode 1938 of 301 Permanently Moved, a personal podcast 301 seconds in length, written, recorded, and edited in 1 hour by me at the JMO. Well, that's this year done, 38 episodes. Nearly did every week from when I restarted after my travels in early 2019. Asia and Australia already seem like a lifetime ago. I'm not sure when this episode is going to make it online, honestly. There's been no internet in my flat for 3 days so far, with no indication when it's going to be fixed. Maybe Sunday, maybe Monday. But I'll post it the first opportunity I get to connect my laptop to the full fat internet. The outage was caused by a catastrophic incident involving a foundation drilling machine catching the main fibre trunk for southwest London. It basically wrapped the cable around and around the drill bit, pulling it out of the equipment at the exchange. I've seen some photos on Twitter and it's pretty wild. Anyways, first of all, I'd like to say thank you to you all for listening this year. It was about 18 episodes ago, during episode 1920, when I did the episode 50 sprint review. At the time, I said that the podcast was closing in on the psychologically significant number of 10,000 all-time downloads, and I was excited about it. Now, at the end of the year, I think this little one-man band of a podcast will be closing out 2019 with about 15,000 downloads this year alone. So thank you so much again to everyone that is listening. If you know anything about podcasting as an industry, then there's two metrics that people talk about. Depending on who's counting, if you get 127 or 156 downloads in the first 30 days of an episode launching, that puts you in the top 50% of all podcasts in the world. Permanently Moved now clears both of those numbers in the first 72 hours, which is remarkable. So thank you again to everyone who's listening. In addition to making this podcast, issue 1 of my zine, Start Select Reset, has been downloaded over 2,500 times since I put it online in September, which is also remarkable. It's not all about the numbers, obviously, but I do think it's important to share them as we're away from the metric gamified world of social media. What's far more important is that there's a lateral conversation between people's blogs and projects. It's about forging connection. I don't think there's anything more pleasurable than web surfing a well-linked and interesting blog post. Long-time listeners and friends will know that I started to make this show to see if I could win the battle against the perfect is enemy of done tendencies that I've always struggled with. After 2 years of making this show, and also 2 years of blogging weekly, at the end of 2019, I'm pleased to report that I'm largely over it. I've made some shows this year that I'm extremely proud of, and there's a few that I've quite frankly kinda already forgotten about. You probably have too, but that's all part of it. It's something that I'm now okay with and getting used to it. I've never been in this position before. I'm not going to belabor this point as I've spoken about it I don't know how many times, but the only way you can get good is to get practicing. What is interesting to me right now is what's next. I did a to-do list back in September, episode 1925, and the space weather said what gets done between now and December will become the new normal in your life. It set the stage for now when Jupiter is in Capricorn. And I've set myself some interesting new normals. Looking back at the script for that episode, all of the things that I talked about wanting to do, I've half finished 4 of them. With the turning of the new decade and the optimism that always comes with the new year, I'm wondering what's next. What's the New Year's resolutions or behaviour changes that I'd like to improve or change next year? The main thing, for me, next year, isn't so much executing, but about delivering. I have mountains of things that aren't finished that I've started this year and previously, and 2020 as an astral theme is about applying hard graft to deliver the dreams and ambitions of Jupiter, which is a roundabout way of saying that I need to try much harder to finish things. In my professional life, with skills and training in project management and business operations, I'm very good at getting other people to deliver. In my personal life, not so much. The new normal is to continue making and creating things that bring me joy, but also the new normal also has to be that I finish and deliver the other things that I'm investing energy into. You might disagree, but in my mind, there is absolutely no point in creating things if they're never going to see the light of day. The main thing that I'm going to focus on next year, creatively, is to finish what I start. Being more disciplined with my time and energy and directing it towards the things that I enjoy. What I don't enjoy is spending hours and hours on social media watching the world scroll by. And on that note, the world around us is going to get way worse before it gets better. So my other New Year's resolution for next year is to make sure that I'm only focusing on doing things that bring me and others around me joy. It's up to each and every one of us to bring light to the world, to chase the shadows out wherever we find them. It might be gloomy outside, but the time spent between others in personal relationships should be shining and bright like Rivendell. I hope you have a good one. I'll speak to you next year.